Hey guys, it's Jo. Happy Wednesday. It's time for a pocket with Jo over here. SportsGrid a TV. I hope everyone's having a good day. Last night on the ice absolutely sucked. St. Louis Blues getting the goal in the last, 30, 45 seconds of that game versus Calgary was kind of like my last hope out there on the ice. Was just not a good day. We need a really solid bounce back today. So let's get towards a solid bounce back. We got lots of action out there on the ice. We got some big favorites today for sure. And we're going to get over go over all of these games. So let's start firstly off with the Arizona Coyotes taking on the Florida Panthers. I see your guys' comments coming in. Jo already coming in with the Kraken in the first period. I don't hate that. Let's make some freaking money today, you guys. So appreciate each and every one of you. The Arizona Coyotes taking on the Florida Panthers. Now, we know the Florida Panthers, they were just in Nashville. They got that win over the Nashville Predators. It was a dad's trip. That was on Monday, you guys, and I was looking at fading them in the first period here versus the Arizona Coyotes because I did think Connor Ingram would be in net tonight. Now, Connor Ingram isn't in net for the Arizona Coyotes. So it's making it harder for me to be able to fade the Florida Panthers in that first period because that's where I was looking to go. And I was looking to take the Arizona Coyotes on that puck line in the first period plus a half a goal. But now it's minus 152. And with Vejmelka in net, I just don't know how much I can trust him. He's got a 3.32 goals against average, a save percentage of 0.892. And now, while he has had some solid outings the last time out, and you should expect that bounce back. But the last time out, he was versus Calgary. He allowed 4 goals on 12 shots on goal. So it was a complete disaster out there for him. I do expect that bounce back, but I don't love the juice. Actually, it's minus 158 on the puck line in the first period. I can't lay that kind of juice. You guys know that. So let's try to find some value on this. So the line's right now plus 198 here for the Arizona Coyotes. The Florida Panthers at minus 245. Total of 6.5. Now the 6.5 juice to the under at minus 132, plus 108 to that over. I do think this is a tighter game because I am leaning towards the under for the Arizona Coyotes. Bobrovsky is in goal for the Florida Panthers. Now, we know how strong he's been. He's got a 2.55 goals against average, a 0.908 save percentage. The Florida Panthers absolutely, after they lost those 4 games and then were able to get the win on the road versus the Predators, they need to keep rolling with momentum here. So they do need to get this win. And I think tonight's a perfect night with Vejmelka. Like I said, that money line is too highly juiced. I don't really trust them on the puck line. They have failed to cover that puck line in their last 5 games at home, but they were struggling in these games. They absolutely could cover the puck line. I'm just not overly joyed about taking it here because that puck line coming in, laying 1.5 at plus 100. I do like the Coyotes team total under 2.5 with Bobrovsky in goal, and with how strong the defense has been of the Florida Panthers, I do think they lock down on the defensive side of the puck. So under 2.5 is coming in at minus 126. This is the first night of a back-to-back here for the Arizona Coyotes. They have the Tampa Bay Lightning on deck tomorrow. Now, when we're looking at any look-ahead situations here for the Florida Panthers, since they are taking on just the Arizona Coyotes here, they do kind of have a look ahead. They have the Penguins on deck on Friday, but not enough of a look ahead where they're not going to try to get this win. These teams really want to go into the All-Star break in a positive direction, and I think the Florida Panthers are in for it for sure. Okay. Yeah, we need a better night. That is for sure. Seattle is going to crack Chicago. It's going to be a different one. Hawks for the win. Chicago Blackhawks could get the win tonight. It's going to be definitely a hard one there. Their goaltender, Peter Moretz, he signed a contract extension. I was hoping he'd be in net, but it is Sonderblom. So we will get to that game in just a minute. Firstly, we're going to look at the Winnipeg Jets taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. This one kicks off at 7 o'clock Eastern, and the Winnipeg Jets are plus 122 on the money line, minus 146 here for the Toronto Maple Leafs, total of 6.5, minus 122 to the under 6.5, and plus 100 to the over. If you think Toronto is going to win this big, you can take them laying the 1.5 at plus 168. I'm not sure I could get there. We know how strong the Winnipeg Jets have been defensively, and they are off that loss versus the Boston Bruins. Of course, I was on the Winnipeg Jets. You guys know that yesterday. This is the second night of a back-to-back, but this is a team that doesn't scare me on that second night of a back-to-back. I do have faith in them. It's kind of a battle of two different teams here. We've got the Winnipeg Jets, who we know are so solid at being able to lock down defensively. They're going to be frustrated with themselves after allowing the Boston Bruins to score 4 goals last night. They were only able to put on one on the board. I do think this team tries to lock down defensively. And you look at Toronto, this team has been so phenomenally strong offensively out there. Samsonov will be in goal tonight. So I struggle with taking this full game under because one, the Toronto Maple Leafs are strong offensively. They're going to try to find the back of the net. And if they're hot tonight, they will find success. And then when we look at Samsonov, we know he got thrown back down to the AHL, just kind of dealing with some mental issues there. He struggled this season, 3.69 goals against average and a .866 save percentage. I really can't trust him. The Winnipeg Jets also can find the back of the net, even though the heart of this team is a defensive core. Boussoit is a net for them tonight. Now, Boussoit's got a 2.18 goals against average and a .923 save percentage. I just look at this one and you guys know, you can already tell I'm leaning towards the Winnipeg Jets. You also look at the Leafs here. This is our first game at home off a four-game road trip. It is a place I normally like to go against a team. The Leafs have won the last 4 meetings versus the Capitals. So I think this one is a really hard battle. These two teams don't have a look ahead except for each other. They play again in Winnipeg on Saturday. Now, I was trying to look at like a home ice advantage and that kind of thing between these two if we really have a dominant side there. I just can't find it. But I do look at Boussoit, and I think he can be the difference maker for the Winnipeg Jets. We know Connor Hellebuck is the main goalie, but Boussoit has been incredibly strong. The last 4 games, he has got the start. He's been able to record the win. He's allowed 6 goals on 113 shots on goal. He's conceded 3 or fewer goals in each of his past 10 starts. So he's been hot, you guys. I'm not going to fade Boussoit here. I'm also not going to fade the Winnipeg Jets off a loss to the Boston Bruins in a game where their defense didn't show up as they would have liked. So Kyle Connor is back on the ice for this team. How am I going to bet this one instead of just taking the Winnipeg Jets on the money line, which I do like? I think there's value at plus 118 on the Winnipeg Jets on the money line. Let me make sure that hasn't moved. Plus 122 on the money line. I do like the Leafs team total. This way, if it's a 3-2 game and the Toronto Maple Leafs win, we still win. So the under 3.5 is coming in. It's juicy at minus 138. But I really do see this being a lower scoring one as long as Samsonov is on his game. And that's why I'm looking at the Winnipeg or the Toronto Maple Leafs team total, not the Winnipeg Jets, because I just don't know what we're going to see out of Samsonov. If the Winnipeg Jets get up in this game, they will lock down. We're not going to see them play an open game in this one. And I really do think Toronto can stay under that 3.5. Now, Tyler Bertuzzi is out of the lineup tonight, awaiting his child's birth, daughter, son. I'm not actually sure if he's having a daughter or a son, or if they've even announced that, but he will be out. And that is another good reason to take this under 3.5. I think with Bertuzzi out, he's such a strong forward out there. I do think it will be impactful for this team. So I do lean under, but like I said, I just don't know if I can trust the goaltending here of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Okay, let's look at the next one. We got the Carolina Hurricanes taking on the Boston Bruins. Okay, current odds on this one. The Carolina Hurricanes coming in at plus 122, minus 146 here for the Boston Bruins, total of 5.5, minus 134 to the over. So if you like this one over, you're going to have to pay for it, plus 110 to the under. If you like Boston for a huge win, which they're getting right out of that price range, that I'd look at them on the money line. Laying 1.5 is plus 168. I do think this is a tighter game, and I think it's a 4-3 game. So I do lean to the over 5.5. Again, you're going to have to lay that minus 134. If you can find a 6, I'm happy with taking it over 6 as well and getting some better value. I think the Boston Bruins are the right side of this game. So automatically I start to look at different ways I can bet them. Spencer Martin will be in net for the Carolina Hurricanes tonight. And we know how strong this team is defensively at locking down, really limiting their opponent's ability to get those shots on goal. They only allow an average of 25.3 shots on goal, and their kill is strong at 83.3. But I do think Spencer Martin is a weaker link in net. And with how strong the Boston Bruins have been playing offensively, And with how they've done at home versus the Canes, the home team has actually won 9 of the last 10 meetings, with the other one being the Boston Bruins getting the win in Carolina in that last game. So I look at this one. I think everything has to point to Boston for me. I'm going to take their team total. Their team total coming in at 3.5. You're getting plus 120 to the over. This team offensively has been really impressive as of late. They've had 25 goals in their last 5 games out, scoring 3 or more goals in 13 of their past 14 games. So this team has been on fire. If you like the Canes team total, that's sitting at 3.5 too. I do think this is a 4-3 game. So depending which team you like here, is where I'd go. But when you look at Spencer Martin versus the Boston Bruins, he has gone 1-2 versus the Boston Bruins with the goals against average of 3.05 and a save percentage of 0.898. So his save percentage is actually a little bit better than it has been on the season. So when I start to add all of that in, I think he's definitely in for giving up those 4 goals tonight. So the Bruins team total, one of my most favorite bets of the day at plus 120. You guys know I love that plus money. And I do lean to the over because I am looking for that 4-3 game. Boston over 1.5 first period and the over. I don't mind that at all. I really do think Boston can get up by 2 goals. Spencer Martin hasn't been in net for a while, so I do think it's a good way to go. And yeah, congratulations to Tyler Bertuzzi on the birth of his child. So we'll see if he has a boy or a girl. Can we bet on that, you guys? We should be able to bet on that. Let's take bets. I don't know what we're going to win, but take bets right here if you think he's having a boy or girl. Let's look at the Washington Capitals taking on the Colorado Avalanche. Now the Avs coming in as a large favorite in this one, second night of a back-to-back here for the Washington Capitals. They're coming in at plus 210, minus 160 here for the Colorado Avalanche, and we got a total of 6.5. Now it's plus 106 to the over, minus 130 to the under. I guess we're just to the under because you look at the goaltending matchup, and I really do like what we've seen out of Charlie Lindgren in net for the Washington Capitals. He's got a 2.27 goals against average and a 0.926 save percentage. This team is also a team that has been strong on that second night of a back-to-back. They have the Stars on deck on Saturday and the Kings on deck for the Colorado Avalanche. Is their next game on Friday. When we look at the Avs, they haven't played for a couple of days. They got the win over the Flyers, a big, impressive win over the Flyers, 7-4. And the Washington Capitals lost last night. I was on the Caps. I tell you, last night just was absolutely brutal. But the Wild able to get that 5-3 win at home. So the Capitals were on the road. So now they've traveled here and they covered the puck line the last 4 games versus Colorado. So these two teams do play in pretty tight games. But when we look at Colorado, they've won the last 2 games straight up. And they have covered that, and they have won 9 of the last 12 meetings overall. So while they haven't covered that puck line in the last 4, they are still able to get the win, and they've won their last 9 at home. So this team has been strong in these situations. Looking at their home record, they're sitting 18-5 at home this season, but you guys, minus 260. So then the puck line laying 1.5 is coming in at minus 102. I just can't get there. And I was trying to find ways to bet this one. With Charlie Lindgren and net, I would probably look at the under 1.5 in the first period because I do think he stands tall enough in this one for this first period to be a little quieter here. But I would lean on the Avs to be able to get up in the first period. I just think here, even though the Capitals strong on that back-to-back, how strong the Avs have been playing offensively is a great thing. And Lankinen is back from the neck injury. So this will be his first performance tonight out there. He's such a strong forward and he actually plays both ways of the puck. So he's not a forward that's afraid not to get those back checks and everything out there. So I really do appreciate his style of play. So I would look at the Avs first period. I would look at the under 1.5 just because I think Charlie Lindgren will be able to do enough in that first period to keep it under that total. But I think the floodgates could absolutely open up in this one. And I do think they're looking towards this under because of Charlie Lindgren. And then also you look at the Washington Capitals, just their inability to be able to find the back of the net in a lot of these games, only averaging that 2.36 goals per game, but the Avs make up for it, averaging 3.77, second best overall in the league. They're getting these shots on goal as well at 32 shots on average per game, and their power play is clicking, 7th best overall in the league at 25.1. So this has to be a play on the abs for me, even though you absolutely know that I like riding with the Capitals on the back-to-back because they've made us money. I just don't think tonight is it. Okay, let's look at the next game here. We have, let's see, what game do we have next? Oh, we have the Chicago Blackhawks taking on the Seattle Kraken. Now, Joe's already thrown out the Seattle Kraken in the first period. I don't hate the Seattle Kraken in the first period. They're coming in for the full game, minus 285, plus 230 here for the Chicago Blackhawks. Total 5.5. Now, minus 115 to the over, minus 105 to the under. And if you like the Seattle Kraken to win big, laying 1.5 on that puck line is minus 111. You guys know that is my favorite number. That line has moved minus 111. Anything to do with 11s, I just love. Plus 1.5 for the Chicago Blackhawks coming in at minus 108. I look at this one and I really don't want to bet it. With Peter Moretz signing his contract, so 2-year contract extension, 4.25 million extension here. I was going to ride on the Chicago Blackhawks plus 1.5 and look at his goalie props in this one because you see those goalies. Sam Montague went through this. He got the signing. He's been absolutely lights out. You see them come out and prove their worth right away out of the gate. With Sonderblom in here, I do think it's a play on the Seattle Kraken in this one. Now, they've lost their last 4. They need to get back on track, and what a better time than to do it versus the Chicago Blackhawks. But I am cautious of this game because it feels like it's kind of trappy. I saw you guys throwing out the Chicago Blackhawks in the chat. And I definitely could see them being able to get the win. This is their first night of a back-to-back. The Oilers are on deck tomorrow, and then they face the Calgary Flames on Saturday. This is the last game, the last game that the Seattle Kraken played in was their first game home off a road trip. So this is their second game at home. It's a perfect situation for them to be able to get the win. I just don't love how much juice we got to lay here with them. And I don't love that puck line. They have won their last 6 as a favorite. So I'm going to do some player props in this one. I'm going to look at Jared McCann for his shots on goal. You can take Jared McCann for 4+ shots on goal tonight. That's coming in at plus 178, or the anytime goal at plus 210. There's no value on his points tonight, so we can't even look at that. But I do love the shots and the anytime goal. He had 4 shots on goal and assist versus the Blackhawks. He had 2 shots on goal and assist versus the Blackhawks in the last game out back in November. And then the other one in December, because these 2 teams have already played twice. He was able to get 2 shots on goal and a goal. So he does play a strong game versus the Chicago Blackhawks, and we saw a lot out of him in the last game. So I do think he can get on the scoreboard in this one tonight. I like his player props. I would lean to the Chicago Blackhawks plus 1.5, but I just don't know how Sonderblom is going to come out. Yeah, see, and that's the problem. You can see that empty netter for sure. Chicago's team total to the under. That is a good way to go with Chicago's team total. It definitely is. You think it's a girl. She might be born with teeth with how many he has. I completely agree with you. That is too funny. Seattle is getting healthier out there. So I do like Jared McCann to be able to come out nice and strong. And there's so much value at plus 178 for 4+ shots on goal. When we look at the teams that he's been able to hit 4 or more shots, he was able to do, I believe, 5 versus the New York Rangers and 4 versus the Columbus Blue Jackets. This was a couple of games ago. He has been kind of limited. He had 2 only versus the Leafs and 3 versus Edmonton. The Leafs defense doesn't impress me, but Edmonton's defense as of late, when he played them, really has been impressing me. So I do think he'll come out against the Chicago Blackhawks, who really have not been playing a lot of defense. This team allowing an average of 32.4 shots on goal. They're going to have to give Sonderblom a lot of extra help in this game because we haven't seen him for quite a while, but I just don't know if they can do it. So the last 2 games between these two, we saw the Seattle Kraken win the one in December 7-1, and we saw the Chicago Blackhawks win in November 4-3. So they have split so far this series on the season. Let's look at the next game here. We have the St. Louis Blues taking on the Vancouver Canucks. The St. Louis Blues on the second night of a back-to-back. They were able to pull off that upset win. I was so upset. My mom and I, and actually my daughter, were sitting at a restaurant that had TVs. They didn't have the sound on, which we were pretty disappointed with, but we wanted a nice glass of wine with our meal. So we went to a restaurant instead of a pub, and we were watching. And of course, we wanted to yell when the St. Louis Blues, because Calgary was up in that game. If you guys were watching it, Calgary got up. Jacob Markstrom let in a terrible, terrible goal for the St. Louis Blues to be able to get the win with under a minute left in that game. So St. Louis had to leave Alberta late last night. Vancouver's an hour behind Calgary time. So this game kicking off at 10:10 Eastern. That is 8:10 my time. So that is 7:10 their time. And they played here, or 7:10 Pacific time. So they played here into the late hours last night. So I do think we see the St. Louis Blues tired in this one, plus 195 for them, minus 240 here for the Vancouver Canucks. Total of 6.5, minus 120 to the under and minus 102 to the over. I would look at the Vancouver Canucks to come out firing right away. Now, Casey DeSmith in net for them tonight. Backup goalie. We're not seeing Demko. He's got a 2.55 goals against average, though, so solid numbers, and a .915 save percentage. When we look here, Binghamton played last night for the St. Louis Blues, so we will see Joel Hofer out here. He's got a 2.88 goals against average and a .910 save percentage. And that sounds really great, but when we look at him, he has lost his last 3 starts. He's saved, though, 90 out of 100 shots on his goal. So in those last 3 starts, he has faced a whackload. That's the only word I could find in my brain, you guys. A whackload of shots. But I do expect the Vancouver Canucks to really bring it tonight. This team averaging that 28.1 shots on goal per game. Their power play strong at 23.5%. I think the defense is going to be here. Tired for the St. Louis Blues. Well, they didn't play a lot of defense. It was a higher scoring game last night. They still played in a hard game in which they had to come back because Calgary was up 3-0, I believe, or 3-1. It was super frustrating to see as a fan and with my money on the Calgary Flames. So looking at when these two teams have played, the St. Louis Blues won the last meeting back in January. It was a 2-1 win, I believe. It was in St. Louis for that one, and they won 3 of the last 5 meetings. So they have had the upper hand in this matchup versus Vancouver. But I just look at this one, and I really do think it's Vancouver's time to get the win. Casey DeSmith is solid in goal. He's not fantastic, but I do think the St. Louis Blues just don't score enough for me to have faith in them to go over their team total. Their team total 2.5. I do like to that under before I would take to the over. It's minus 116 to the under. This with the second night of a back-to-back, they're averaging 2.4 goals per game on a second night of a back-to-back on this season. So it is a little risky because it's right on that number, but they also have lost their last 7 games as a dog on the second night of a back-to-back. I expect Vancouver to get up, kind of like what we saw in Vancouver in their last game versus the Chicago Blackhawks. They won that one on Monday, 2-0. They got those 2 goals in the first period. We nicely cashed with the over 1.5 and the Canucks in the first period, and it cashed. And then Vancouver just locked down, played complete defense. So I could absolutely see that happening in this one. I do like that first period puck line here for the Vancouver Canucks, laying the half of goals, coming in at plus 128. So I think it's a solid way to go. You could also look at that over 1.5 if you want to. Again, we got backup goalies on both sides. So Casey DeSmith absolutely could let in an early one. I'm just not sure if he will. Now, when we look at goal scorers, you know I love Elias Pettersson here. He's coming in at the anytime goal plus 135. I think it's worth taking a long shot here on Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes for the anytime goal for the Vancouver Canucks is coming in at plus 440. Now, the last time versus the St. Louis Blues, he was held off the scoreboard, so he wasn't able to get that goal. But in the 2 games prior, he had 2 goals in each of those games. So at plus 440, when he scored 4 goals over the last 3 games, and yes, 2 and 2. In 2 of those and none in the last. I cannot pass up on Quinn Hughes. You guys know how much I like the defensive defenseman, if I can talk today. So that is where I'm going to go with that one. And then the Buffalo Sabres and the LA Kings. I tell you, this Kings team is so frustrating. I still can't believe what we saw out there on the ice. This team has not been able to find the back of the net absolutely at all. And their shots are going far right, far left, over. It's just, if they could put a puck under the net, like in through the ice, I think they would. This team would find a way to miss that net. They're coming in at minus 200. The Buffalo Sabres at plus 164, total of 6.5, minus 122 to the under, and plus 100 to the over. I don't want to take the LA Kings to save my life right now. This team's so struggling at home. This should not be their home record, sitting 8-1 at home. Now, when I look at what these teams have been doing as of late, the Buffalo Sabres lost their last two. They lost last night to the Anaheim Ducks. It's not far travel between them. And then we saw the loss on Monday to the Sharks for the Kings. It's unexcusable, this team. It's so frustrating to be betting on this team right now. Now, a good thing for the Kings, they might be able to find the back of Levi's net. He has not been stellar out here for the Buffalo Sabres. He's got a 3.32 goals against average and a 0.889 save percentage. David Reach will be in, it looks like, for the LA Kings, and he has been strong. He's got a 1.76 and a 0.930 save percentage. So ultimately, when I look at this game should go under that total, except for I just don't know how strong Levi is going to be. But I can't trust the Kings to be able to score either. So if I'm going to bet this one, we can't take the Kings on the money line. I can't trust them on that puck line for a huge win. Should they win? Huge? Yeah, they should, but I can't trust it. Minus 1.5 is plus 122. I'd rather take the Buffalo Sabres plus 1.5 at minus 146. I could see them pulling off another upset. The LA Kings do have a road trip on deck. So if you think they'll get back on track on the road before the All-Star break, taking the Buffalo Sabres here at plus 164. I don't hate, but you look at the Buffalo Sabres, the second night of a back-to-back has been a struggle for this team. So I do think the Kings are the right side, just not finding value. When you look at their road trip ahead of them, it's going to suck. They have the Avs on Friday, the Blues, and then the Predators. Wednesday is the last game. The Blues are on Sunday. So a hard situation for this team right now, a team that absolutely needs to get back on track to be able to continue to dominate in the Pacific after the All-Star break. So this team's just been so cold at getting those goals. I'm going to look at some shots on goal props in this one for the LA Kings, because we do look at the Buffalo Sabres. They're allowing 29.1. We're still seeing those shots come out of the LA Kings. They're still averaging 34. Their shooting percentage is down, though. They cannot find that net to save their lives. So when you're looking at goalie save props, I tell you, it's like they are firing so far right or left. It's not even considered a shot on goal, even though these players have been seeming like they get a lot more shots. But one player you can look at is Kempe here for his shots on goal. We saw 9 shots out of him in that game versus the Sharks. And that's exactly what the books recorded, was 9 shots. If I would have watched and told you, I felt like he got, closer to 15, 16 shots, but a lot of those just so far off. So Kempe here for 4+ shots on goal, coming in at plus 124. And I think that is the best bet of this game, because I really do think that he can come out nice and strong. This team just has to start firing, and they have to find the back of the net. Now, you could also look at Trevor Moore here for 4+ shots on goal. He's coming in at plus 110. You're just not getting as much value on Trevor Moore. So I do like Kempe in this situation at plus 124 more, especially off a game where he had 9 shots on goal. Now, you could look at him. I love looking at these guys that really have been amping up those shots, and to take them for the anytime goal, you're going to get a lot of value on him in that one. So I do lean to the under. I lean to the Sabres plus the 1.5, but it's too juicy at minus 154. If you think that the Kings can't win this, I don't hate the money line for the Buffalo Sabres. I just can't trust the LA Kings right now, but I do think Kempe is a play on. It's my favorite bet of this game. That's all I'm going to bet is Kempe 4+ shots on goal. So that is everything, you guys. We kind of flew through that. I really appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Yeah, Kopitar as well. So I do like where you're going with that one. What's my number one underdog for tonight? Do I have really a number one underdog when I look at this? I think I can't do the St. Louis Blues. I can't take Carolina. It would probably be, I think the Capitals have a chance of covering that puck line. I think the Winnipeg Jets have an opportunity to win. I think the Arizona Coyotes have an opportunity to cover the puck line. I would not the Blackhawks, if it was Peter Moretz. I know I'm giving you a roundabout answer and you just want a straight answer. So, straight answer, you guys know I lean towards the Winnipeg Jets here. I just love Boussoit and what this defense has been doing. So, if you're going to take one underdog, I think that is the underdog. It's hard to go against the Toronto Maple Leafs, but these two teams do play again on Saturday in Winnipeg. I could see them trading road wins. So the Winnipeg Jets getting the road win here. Then they're returning off a long road trip. And this is a real thing for these players coming home from these road trips. The Leafs are returning here from a road trip, and the Winnipeg Jets will be returning from a road trip. Now, I think their road trip's only 2 or 3 games. They played in Boston. I'm trying to think where they played in their last game. But I could see them trading these wins. So the Jets would be my favorite underdog of the day. So the Capitals, I know, let's all laugh that the Capitals are strong on the second night of a back-to-back. Let's make some money. Yeah, the Capitals just screwed me last night. That is for sure. You guys, I wish you all the best in all of your bets. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here every single day. It's so nice to see all of the names pop up. So let's make some freaking money. Everyone, enjoy your Wednesday evening. Tomorrow is Thursday. There's a lot of games. The All-Star break is coming at the end of, in February. So we're right around the corner to that. After the All-Star break, we will actually, during the All-Star break, we'll start talking more futures to start off some of the shows during the All-Star break so that we can look at Stanley Cup odds and where everyone's sitting within their divisions and who I think is going to win their divisions. I'm going to have to look at some of my win totals because I did bet some win totals. I know I had the Ottawa Senators to make the playoffs. Man, was that dumb. The Detroit Red Wings to make the playoffs. Calgary is trying to cling on hope, holding on to a wild card right now. So we got a couple of situations we definitely need to look at. But you guys have a good one. Let's make some freaking money. I will see you back here tomorrow. Make sure you hit that like button and that retweet button. I appreciate you guys so much. Bye now.